How I taught my grandmother to read. This is an interesting story about a granddaughter and her grandmother based in a small village of North Karnataka. The story has been written by Sudha Murty. The narrator was a girl of 12 and lived with her grandparents. At that time, Triveni was very popular among people for her style and subjects of her stories. In her famous novel Kashi Yatre, the heroine is an old lady who desires to go to Kashi to worship Lord Vishweshwara. However, the old lady gives away all her savings to an orphan girl because she has no money for her wedding. The old lady, the heroine of Kashi Yatre, considers the happiness of this orphan more important than worshipping Lord Vishweshwara at Kashi. The narrator's 62-year-old grandmother, Ishtaka, could not read, and so she would ask her granddaughter to read every episode of Kashi Yatre to her. During those times, she would forget her work and would listen to her with the greatest concentration. The grandmother would discuss the latest episode of Kashi Yatre with her friends in the temple. Once, the narrator went to a neighborhood village for a wedding and came back only after a week. When the narrator came back to her village, she was surprised to see her grandmother in tears. The narrator had never seen her grandmother in tears. The grandmother narrated her story. She lost her mother at a very young age, and her father got married again. The grandmother never went to school, and at times used to regret not going to school. She made sure that her children and grandchildren studied well. In the narrator's absence, she opened the magazine Karmavira but couldn't understand anything written there. She surprised her granddaughter by declaring that she had decided to learn the Kannada alphabet from the next day. She kept Saraswati Puja Day during the Shahra as the deadline. The day she would be able to read a novel on her own. Childishly, the narrator made fun of the old lady. But the grandmother smiled. The next day onwards, the narrator started her tuition. The grandmother proved to be a wonderful student and did amazing amount of homework. On the Dashera festival day, the grandmother called her granddaughter to the puja place and made her sit down on a stool. Then, she did something quite unusual. She touched the feet of her granddaughter. The grandmother explained that she was touching the feet of a teacher, not her granddaughter. She had taught her so well that she could read any novel confidently. The narrator gave her gift to her first student. It was a copy of Kashi Yatre. The grandmother opened the novel and read immediately the title Kashi Yatre by Triveni. She had passed with flying colors.